Again, thank you. We're here with a special edition of Jazz 313. I found some old albums. This is going to just be all about albums. But before we start every show, this is a show enough, real Detroit treat. This is Vernon's. My friends out of New York, my friends from Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, they always say, Detroit ain't started jazz. I said, well, I didn't say Detroit started jazz. Jazz started in the Congo, then it went to the Caribbean, then it came to New Orleans, and Kansas City, Chicago, Detroit, and it went on to New York, and now it's all over the world. It's like the virus, it's the jazz virus. But anyway, before we start, as all of our shows, I want to just start off acknowledging John Conyers and House Resolution Bill 57. I hope by now you guys have looked that up on the internet. But this is going to be like when we was in college, we didn't have any money, and we sat down and we played tonk, we played spades, and we talked and we listened to LPs. I have some of my favorites today, and I'm going to take my time and go through them all. But before I want to correct something, I'm going to deal with the NBA. I want to include Steve Nash as well as Ivan Iverson as two of my best point guards. But let me start the show. The first one is Billy Eckstine. They called him Mr. B and the band, the Savoy Sessions. On this particular album, it's Fretz Navarro, Sonny Stitt, Gene Ammons, Dexter Gordon, Louis Parker, Thomas Porter bass, Art Blakey drums. This was recorded in LA in 1946. This is one of my grandfather's favorite albums. Billy Eckstine, I had a chance to, when I was with Anheuser-Busch, we had Sammy Davis Jr. here, Lou Rawls, and Billy Eckstine. I was able to get all that entertainment. I was able to influence them. It was a black event. They really didn't know what to do. Those who know was down at Cobo Hall, Billy Eckstine. He was old. I didn't know he was half German. That's just another one. Another great one, and I told you that some guys I just hit it off with. Count Basie. On this album, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to hold this up so you can see this. Featuring Lester Young, Ed Lewis, Eddie Durham, Freddie Green, Joe Jones, Helen Humes. This is the best of Count Basie. As we talked about that leadership piece, Count Basie kept his band together for 40 years. Some straight up Detroit talent. I just want to just read one paragraph on this right here. There are a half dozen of excellent dance bands working out of Kansas City in those distant days, when the heart of America City and the entire state of Missouri was dominated politically by a borough bully, Thomas Pendergrass, Bennie Moten, Gerald Lee, Ward Page, and the Blue Devils were black bands with impressive following, not only in western Missouri, but in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska as well. This is another Count Basie. Count Basie believed in his band. Joe Williams was in his band. I just sit back and I'm just thinking about the great bands. Count Basie, I put him up there today. He would be like Tupac. Just his music would live on and on and on. Come Rain, Come Shine. From the Syracuse, Connecticut Yankee. This is just so many of them. I got another Basie and Billy Eckstine. Listen, don't ask me, can you borrow my albums? Because you cannot borrow them because they never come back. Like my Langston Hughes collection, I had the whole collection, let them out. People never bring them back. People lose them in floods. This right here, Count Basie and Billy Eckstine. There are times when words fail, when the very language you command can no longer convey the proper emotion and meaning. This album represents such a time, and because of this, we have omitted the unusual liner notes. This is Count Basie and Billy Eckstine. This album was a great album. Stormy Monday, Lonesome Lover, Blues for the Mother of Sin, Little Mama, Drifting, Piano Man. This is Black Beethoven. This is it. Can't get no better. This is another one. I don't want to elaborate too much, but we're just gonna go through Count Basie. This is a Count Basie and a young Joe Williams. They recorded this album in the 40s. We had a chance to see Joe Williams a day before he died. He was at Detroit Montrose Jazz Festival in the late 80s. I was just a spectator as well as a admirer. The music you listen to today is Horace Silver, just a compilation. I'm gonna let the music play, turn it down. This is Count Basie and his orchestra featuring Jimmy Rushing and Helen Humes. A 2-record set. I was just looking on eBay last night. This right here is listed at $800, but you can be $8,000. This is not going anywhere. It's he got Bobby Hicks, Sweets Edison. I mean, this is just they was just doing this thing. They was just doing this. Lester Young, Buck Clayton, Carl Smith. I mean, some Detroit people on this right here. Those of you who like Ramsey Lewis out of Chicago, on this album on drums, Isaac Holt, bass D Young. These Chicago boys, Ramsey Lewis. You lovers of modern sound, this is a pleasure. We measure without beyond. They recorded this right here in 1956. So this is a great album. Ramsey Lewis and his Gentlemen of Swing. This is a Ray Charles, all jazz. On this album right here, for my people who say Detroit is not about jazz, on this album, the great Marcus Belgrave, Ray Charles in person, The Right Time, What I Say, Yes Indeed, Drowning My Own Tears, To Tell the Truth. Ray Charles on piano and vocals, Marcus Belgrave on trumpet, David Newman on tenor sax, Benny Crawford on baritone, Edgar Willis on bass, and Tego Flemings on drums, accompanted by the Raylettes. This is a great album. This is 1959, May 28th. My brother's birthday, May 28th. Atlantic, 8039, Ray Charles in person. I mean, this is for you show enough junkies of jazz. I can remember up in Eastern Michigan, I mean, we didn't have any money. So after Saturday Night Live went out, I never drink. My guys, they was drinking. But we would just play the music, and back then, hang out all night, wake up, do it again. Probably slept 2 or 3 hours. Now, at 12 o'clock, I gotta go to sleep. 12:30, definitely, I'm dreaming. But Earl Gardner, great piano player. How High the Moon, Sophisticated Lady. I mean, just, this is a Columbia release. I didn't realize how much Nancy Wilson, this is Nancy Wilson, she sings and she swings. She got some Detroiters on this one right here also, but for the lack of time, this is one that I want to elaborate a little bit on. This is Cannonball Alley with Nancy Wilson. Those of you back in the old days who used to like Luther Vandross, when you see Nat Adderley Jr., this is part of that linkage. I believe in DNA. A lot of things are just blood. The Adderley family have done so much for the music in this country as well as the world. About 4 years ago in Columbus, Ohio, a Willie Young singer took a busman holiday from her job as a vocalist with Rush and Bryant Band to join the friends that evening at the 502 Club, a local jazz club where remarkable up-and-coming alto saxophone combo was swinging. And the girl was Nancy Wilson. The young man with the horn was Julian Cannonball Alley. I mean, this right here is just, you can get some of these albums. I mean, it's gonna cost you. Don't ask me, can you borrow mine? Because you can't. This is Ramsey Lewis and Nancy Wilson. This right here has some commercial success. Never Want to Say Goodnight, Slipping Away. It did hit the Billboard chart. This right here is 84. So I was like a year out of college, but I'm a bebopper. That was kind of too soft for me. Earl Gardner, by the Sea, he did a whole lot of them. April in Paris, You Can't Take This Away From Me. They did this one right back in, I'm trying to find the year, but for lack of time, this is like 57. This is an album, an LP, a vinyl, as the young kids call it. This is the man of the hour. His name is Les McCann. There's nothing else I can say. It surprises me when an artist of this magnitude, Les McCann, finds it hard to break through a larger audience. This is part of the record company, or is one of the special two on a record yet to be recorded? I don't know the answer, but I feel Les has always had the magical ingredients of that spell. This came out in 1978, but he did, compared to what Les McCann, he was beyond a category. This is another one, Duke Ellington and Count Basie. I don't think I can even say any more about the question about both of these great men. They got together and did this, Take the A Train, Wild Man, Battle Royal, Jumping at Woodside. They collaborated on this right here in 1943. So this is a collector's, another collector's. This is the man, straight out of New Orleans, straight with Jelly Roll Morton and King Oliver and Jackie Biard and Doc Cheatham. I've heard so much about Fletcher Henderson. This is a 1950 recording. Fletcher Henderson was just a man of his own. I mean, it's just, I can't even sit back and talk about. This is one of the people that they don't talk about. I don't know why he doesn't get the play that he should get, but YouTube Fletcher Henderson and just listen to his music. Just take my time on this one. This is the man, Charlie Parker, out of Kansas City. You know, Parker once told Leonard Feather, he used to be so cruel to musicians just the way it was today. They say when Beethoven was on his deathbed, he shook his fist at the world and they just didn't understand. Then he got another one on the inside. Musicians cut off from American mainstream when they began viewing themselves as artists instead of entertainers, make the separation complete by adapting their own clothing, vernacular, and bad habits. Bad habits, speech. You know, you're around most musicians, every other word is that cat, that cat, that cat. But I'm gonna hold this album up. This is Charlie Parker started bebop. He was in a band and got kicked out the band. Him and Dizzy Gillespie, Max Roach, it was revolutionary music. You know, I can talk about Benny Goodman, how he opened up, but this guy is the genesis of bebop. Him, Dizzy Gillespie, Monk, Mingus. This album is like Proverbs. You got to have this one. You got to keep this one. Another one, Eddie Lockjaw Davis and Shirley Scott. I won't spend too much time. They're going to get a whole lot on that. But we're going to move it up. Again, if you like what I'm doing, click, subscribe, and share. This is Jazz 313. We're not featuring any art. I'm not giving any commentary. I'm going to let the music speak for itself. I know in these times when you look at that crazy man over in Russia, God bless those Ukrainians. He bombed a hospital yesterday. I mean, let's pray for those people. But I'm trying to take your mind off of inflation and high gas prices. We're going to pray and we're going to do whatever we can in our space. My space is Jazz 313. Click, subscribe, and share. My friends in New York, my people in Greece who's listening to me, I know you guys get tired of Detroit, but Detroit is my heart. Detroit is where I'm based, and we just talking about the great music of Detroit. Here's another one, great one. Grover Washington Jr., Wine Light, Let It Flow, In the Name of Love, Just the Two of Us. I mean, this is a must-have. It's not hardcore bebop. Back in the day, I was kind of mad at him because I remember him live at the Bijou, but there's some Detroit players on this right here. This is University of Michigan graduate, the great Bob James. And on this album, I must show it to you, you have Earl Klugh from Detroit, you have Bob James, you have Steve Gadd, the drummer, Herbert Laws out of Houston, Ron Carter, bass. This album was it was a show called Taxi, and this is part of the music, the soundtrack. Bob James, University of Michigan, Interlochen. He's still living in the Ann Arbor area. He's getting old, but if you get this album, this is not going anyplace. Don't ask me, can you record it? You can take a picture of it from this iPad. The next one is Dave Brubeck. You heard about, Dave Brubeck, Take Five. Won't you take a little bit of time out with me? Just Take Five. One of the most recorded albums. He's doing all the Disney music. This is all Disney. Alice in Wonderland, Hey Ho, Wish Upon a Star, Someday My Prince Will Come. I played that one with Miles Davis the other day. Dave Brubeck, he did Round. He did so many. Dave Brubeck is the man. You gotta get this album, the Dave Brubeck or Dave Digs Disney. He's playing all the Disney tunes. He was the Disney musician with all that music that's on the soundtrack that they playing. This right here is Jimmy Lucifer I could just go on. He's probably, for my extreme, chronic, MIT, Oxford type jazz guys, this is it. I mean, I don't even want this without explanation. This will, those who want to get into jazz, people ask me, why don't you do one on albums? I got lucky yesterday and brought this whole collection. I got a Lena Horne somewhere. I looked on the internet, it's $2,000. I put it up. I can give you my Lena Horne story. I spent 3 months with her at the Club Carlisle. I was her valet. One thing I learned about Lena Horne, she drank a lot of water, she got her sleep, and just an elegant lady. She was like, I don't want to say old, never call lady old, but she was up there. But you know, just being around her for 3 months was probably one of my musical highlights. I had a lot of them, but that was one. This is a Paul Robeson recording that was done in Detroit on 1549 West Grand Boulevard, an eating with Paul Robeson. He's talking about No More Auction Block, Big Brother, Country Anthem, Letters to Marine Cooks, Waterboy, and Othello. He talks about this. I have not listened to it, but I'm an admirer of Paul Robeson. Those of you who don't know, number 44, played at Syracuse. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He was a football player. He was the first black actor on Broadway, or one of the first. You know, some people like, I don't know if he was the first, Willie Jones was the first, I don't care who was the first, but he was the most prominent. He has over 60 schools named after him in this whole country. You got to get this album. Another one, this is my Grover Washington right here. I don't want to rush on this one. This is Grover Washington live at the Bijou. He crossed over, this was Mr. Magic, Make Me Look in the Pocket. It's on the Billboard charts, all this, you know, and what was going on in the 60s, you know, rock and roll, the British invasion, Motown, jazz got kind of like stuck in the back. You know, then you had the Crusaders, they took over, but Grover Washington was just the man. I mean, this album, when he did Wildlight, I was kind of mad at him because this is all straight up jazz, but God bless his soul, and my friends out of Philadelphia. A lot of good music come out of Philadelphia. I mean, it's too many for me. McCoy Tyner, Coltrane. I could just go on and on and on and on about Philadelphia. But this album, you got to get. You see, it's only been used once. This is another Dave Brubeck quartet. I love Dave Brubeck. This is a Moreau picture. So for my art lovers, some of the songs on this particular one is Raggedy Waltz, Hallelujah, Far More Blue, Marie Blues, Boogie Woogie, Paul Desmond. You know, I mean, these guys just, I can't even. Man, I gotta take a picture of that. That is awesome. I may just take this and frame this. I love Moreau. I'm gonna put that on the side. The great Coleman Hawkins. I mean, look at this here. I gotta just show you this here. You got Milt Hinton from the great Minton Jazz down in Harlem. I was too young to go there. I wish Ben Webster was Billie Holiday's bass player. Billy Taylor, PhD, did so much for jazz, gave well over $200 million in scholarships. Corzy Cole out of Chicago, a drummer. We talked about Cannonball Alley. This is I don't know if you call it jazz, but this is my girl. She left untimely. She used to date one of my friends. Buck, if you listen to me, it kind of crushed him. Just a great album. This album is I mean, I'm getting emotional even thinking about this. You know how to love me, but her voice was the star of the show, and the musician she had behind her was, oh my God. Listen, I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, Clyde Davis, Quincy Jones, everybody wanted her, but you know they call it mental illness nowadays. But I don't want to spend too much time. But Phyllis Hyman, I would implore you to Spotify or Apple, whatever you got. But don't ask me can you use this album because it ain't going nowhere. George Benson, what else to say about him? I mean, on this right here, Ronnie Foster, Stanley Banks, Ralph McDonald, Harvey Mason, Phil Upchurch, George, I mean, all these guys. George Benson's still doing it. I mean, George Benson has sold more albums than all the jazz musicians put together, except for Miles Davis and Wynton Marsalis and Keith Jarrett. George Benson, I kind of like him because you can't put him in no category neither. But you got to get this album. I mean, The Greatest Love of All. Muhammad Ali loved this song. That was in this thing. When he died, George Benson did another tribute. Another one. I won't spend too much time. Dinah Washington, Patrice Rushen, those who had these back in the day. I mean, this guy, man, oh man, it hurt me. Tom Brown, you probably never heard him. I was Googling him last night. He's not even up on the thing. But this brother from out of New Jersey, he died at like a heart attack, not even 35 years old. But I want to bring some light to him. This guy, Juilliard trained, but on this album, let me just read who was on this album. Dave Gresham, Marcus Miller, Bobby Francisco. I mean, listen, this is like 1980. I can remember I brought this album back then. I mean, it's on this album, it was $3.95. I had $5, and it was a Friday. I walked to Washington Avenue and brought 3 boxes of Kraft macaroni and cheese. Kraft, you should pay me for this story, for $3 for $1, and I listened to this album the whole weekend. And this guy is something else. He only did 2 or 3 albums, but no point up. I just want to just bring some of his 1980 jazz. If he would have been living, I mean, I don't think we really would have heard of Wynton Marsalis. If you like what we're doing, please click subscribe and share. I'm getting back to the music. Met a young saxophonist the other day down in Wayne State. Met a piano player last night at Cliff Bell's. You know, we got something special going on with United Nations. We just moving jazz. I'm just having fun. You know, we just having fun. A lot of things. You know, we talking about health. But another one, Herb Albert Rise. You hear his soundtrack all over. I mean, the guy cold-blooded. This was a must-have. And on this album, Tommy Scott. I mean, just a commercial success. It's commercial success. He does a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. Another one, this is the album I was telling you. You can look this up. This album worth $2,000. I got an offer for $1,000. I'm going to sell this because, I mean, let's look at all these pictures of Lena Horne. I got lucky and got this whole set for not even $100. The guy didn't even know what it was. But I got it, and I'm going to sell it. And guess what? I'm going to use the profits for this to fund some of the stuff that we're doing with Jazz 313. But I got a name. I'm Glad It's You. Can't Help Loving You. Stormy Weather. Deed I Do. I mean, I put this up last night at 1:30 on eBay. I got 6 requests for this album. I'm gonna let it go. Somebody gonna get it, but you know, 'cause I don't like keeping junk. This is a Detroiter. I gotta just talk about her. This is Della Reese. She used to live right there on Asbury Park. I mean, Detroit talent. I mean, what else can I say? This is Detroit Jazz Show, Jazz 313. This is just some of the albums. I couldn't even show you all the albums. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I want to just read a little bit of this Della Reese right here. We've always admired Della Reese singing and were enormously pleased when the opportunity came to us to bring her to RCA. But this is a Detroiter who, on 8 Mile in Woodward, we used to have this thing called the State Fair. I saw her. I didn't understand it at the time, but her voice still hit me, and I was listening to her last night. I just could not believe what we was listening to. We listened to the Detroit influence, the Detroit impact on jazz, and we know the triangle: Congo, Caribbean, New Orleans, St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, New York. Now it's all over the world, and I'm just doing my little 2 cents. As I tell you all the time, this is one of my assignments that God gave me. I didn't even plan on this. The person saw me and knew who I was. They came and like just gave it to me almost because they know I'm gonna do good with it. And again, until we meet again, thank you. Jazz 313 signing out. Peace.